Hey everyone, my name is Graham Toohey.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, my name is Ms. Chatterjee.
Hi, I'm John Crowley-Delman, Director of Experiential Education at Pingry.
My name is Mr. Tour, and I teach world history.
I'm Steve Benoit, and I play several roles at Pingry, but my largest roles are teaching French and chairing the World Languages Department.
Global learning and diversity, to me, are critical to our mission at Pingry. I think it's really important for our students to be exposed to different perspectives and ways of thinking about problems and approaching problem solving. And I think in a diverse community, all of us are smarter collectively when we're surrounded by people who bring different ways of thinking to problems and also viewing issues around the world. It's how we learn.
Pingry's Honor Code calls upon students to become citizens of and contributors to the larger community of the world. And global education is a powerful tool to help students learn how to do this.
Between the advances made in traveling and technology, we are more connected now, arguably, than we ever have been. And I think, learning about global education and diversity is more, is paramount to our understanding of how we as individuals fit into a larger community. I believe it forces us to think more critically and evaluate the ethics and impacts of all the decisions that we make. I personally think it's important to continue to make our world a more equitable and sustainable place. And in order to do that, one needs to have a deeper understanding of the world from the local level all the way up to the global scale.
It's so important to experience different cultures. The only way we can really understand the way other people live and the way other people think in certain ways is really to be exposed to their culture and, get out of the things that only we know. So really the benefit of global education for me and for the students that I've traveled with is to see things from a perspective other than their own.
Global education to me is really about learning about others, but it's not just learning about others. To me, it is learning about others so you can take those experiences and apply them to your own life and then grow from them. Diversity is in essence the same thing, right? If you don't have the ability to talk with someone that is different from you or learn from someone that's different from you, you are not growing as an individual at all.
For me, the pillars of diversity and global education are intertwined. We need to understand cultures other than our own in order to develop real empathy for people in different parts of the world, and really even for people in our own country and in our own state.
That growing up, I was accustomed to looking and sounding different than people who surrounded me. Getting involved in global education and diversity initiatives were my way to fit in and find community. If there had been no value for diversity, I would not have been seen or valued in my community. And I want my students and my own children to know how valued they are exactly the way they are.
So I'm somebody who has embraced global citizenship, and 3 of the last 6 years I was overseas myself. So seeing that, how it's, done great strides within my own life, I want to share that, it is something that, I truly value because it's something that, has really opened up my horizons, and I encourage my own students that, when they are going to be continuing on their secondary ed journey, that they also take the step to be able to take as many strides towards getting themselves the exposure that they need to immersing themselves within a different culture.
Being a global learner is building skills to be a citizen of the world. It's getting to know how other humans live, it's understanding diverse perspectives and learning from them. Diverse perspectives lead to solutions and possibilities.
As a student, I didn't always pay attention in the classroom, and it wasn't until I started traveling and the world became my classroom that I really locked in and paid attention to my surroundings and to the people around me and to the places I was. And I think that, that's where true learning happened for me. And And, in looking at our Belize program, I think that moment happens for our students in a number of different areas, whether it be in the water, whether it be on the walk to the grocery store. I think we step outside the Pingry bubble and we see how the world works in a different bubble, and I think that it really starts to open up the mind. People start asking questions, and some real learning can begin.
We have a situation on our Belize trip where we're able to, we're in the water a lot. So we're able to, swim with sharks. That was, one of the things that we do on this particular trip. And you have a situation where the perceived risk there might be extremely high. You think to yourself, I wouldn't normally jump off the back of the boat where there are all these sharks swimming around. And again, we are able to do that. Similarly, we go out at night and snorkel around on the reef at night, and to be in that situation, it's a very different environment. So I think we're able to put our students in a place where they can really expand their comfort zone a little bit, push their comfort zone, and really grow from that experience of doing something that they never thought they would, in a million years, they would be willing or able to do.
You are confronting organisms that you would never see anywhere else, and you get to experience how that community works, how the reef works. And I think just being in the water and swimming through a coral reef and watching all the creatures kind of survive and interact and their special behaviors, I think it gives you like a new appreciation for what your role is in the world and how you need to respect your place in the world versus the impact you have on the world at large. When you see these interactions, you need to be mindful of that. And I don't think you can get that unless you are fortunate enough to go experience it.
I've been lucky enough to be part of several global programs, more than a dozen, well over a dozen throughout my many years of teaching, not all at Pingry, but ever since I started teaching, I've also been part of global programs. And I can tell you that it's about so much more than just language. We all come away from these experiences with a deeper appreciation and understanding of other viewpoints and social constructs. And we come away understanding our own culture.
I think back to a trip I did to the Amazon jungle in Guyana 2 years ago, and I was in Guyana for a month alone, traveling mostly to remote Amerindian villages in the Amazon rainforest that had success at harnessing tourism to support their local economies without destroying traditional culture, and with the effort of preserving rainforest and wildlife habitat nearby. And so I wanted to see how these towns, these little villages, had done that. And one of the humbling experiences I had is that it quickly dawned on me that I couldn't leave my little hut in these villages without the threat of seriously injuring myself or killing myself, because there were so many plants and animals and insects that could do me harm. I remember my guide pointing out the bullet ant, something I never heard of before, that when it bites you, it feels like you were shot. That's exactly the feeling that it has. Or them warning me about the bushmaster snake, one of the most poisonous snakes in the world that was in this habitat. There were caiman in the rivers, there were electric eels, there were vines that if you touched them would give you a horrible skin rash, and so on and so on.
I honestly have to say that global learning is one of the most enriching experiences that students can have. I have led programs like this, and I always find them to be the highlight of my career.
I've had a lot of experiences in my career with global learning opportunities. When I was a middle school division director in California, I took 8th grade students to Spain, Japan, and China for 2-week trips each year that were immersion experiences and that were culminations of humanities courses that were taught from January through May. And it was a great opportunity for students to connect with people around the world, to deepen the learning experience and really bring culmination to all that they had been studying. And students invariably came back thinking about the world with a different perspective and really understanding at a different level of depth, having had that immersion experience based on and tied into curriculum, which was really powerful.
This school year, Mr. Tui and I put together a global program, which is sadly not running. And part of that was to explore another part of the world, of course, right? To be able to actually be out in the world and explore something. But on top of that, one of the reasons we did it was so that students could get out there and experience things on their own and not be stuck to an itinerary that we had provided, because the itinerary for the global program was going to be entirely self-designed by the students, and that in itself is bringing a whole new perspective to students.
My travel experiences have been some of the best education I've received. From making new friends to being introduced to new cultures and learning new languages, all these experiences just prompt me to be more attuned to the happenings of the world. Beyond the physical travel, there are so many ways to be a global learner.
I think in general, global awareness and diversity is vital to our education. In addition to, global travel, I'm lucky enough to have an incredibly diverse group of students that I teach, and I think what that does is it helps me to know that there are students who might think in different ways from how I think. And
something one of my friends from Pingry, and I'm a Pingry alum, and he's a Pingry alum, told me once is, John, we started life on third base, and I think what he meant was by having a Pingry education, no matter where you came from or what socioeconomic group, you have a huge advantage, and therefore you have a responsibility in a society to give something back and to do your part. And so I think what thinking like a global citizen encourages you to do is to think, how can I engage in a community in a way where I'm first doing no harm, but then hopefully learning and helping and doing my part to make things better.
Pingry students should take the opportunities offered through global learning, because they will realize and they will see that once they go through these programs, they will come back with a better perspective of how the world works and how they can contribute, and it will help them to become better citizens.
Pingry leads students to be citizens of the world, and my hope is that each student has a chance to embrace this opportunity in any way possible.
So I think global travel, when we can provide those opportunities for students, really helps to expand thinking and perspectives, and to think from different perspectives, not just of different perspectives. And I think that's critical for us at Pingry's.
In times of global crisis, as we are facing right now, global education becomes more important than ever.